after.
Yeah, but it's one of them.
Okay, if you want to.
Yeah, I'll just do it, because we'll talk about
Okay.
every time I come to do this thing, it's always women's rights. The whole thing is in Surah Al-Baqarah, in the last couple of verses, yeah, like verse 283 or something. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about إِذَا تَدَيَنْتُمْ بِدَيْنٍ فَاكْتُبُوهُ. If you write like a dayn, like a debt, then write it down and stuff like that. And then in that verse, it's the longest verse in the Quran as far as I know, it says that one man's witness testimony is equivalent to two, yeah? So the question is it like that in all cases? And the scholars have said no, actually. Ibn Taymiyyah, for example, he says it's not like that. One woman who is a black woman, who was was breastfeeding and stuff like that, she came to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and she was the only one who was there. And so she came to him and she asked him about, basically, she told him certain things, and she was the only witness. And so she accepted the witness testimony from only her. And by the way, there's a difference between the riwayah and shahada. And basically, I'll tell you quickly the difference. The riwayah is narration, which is much more powerful and important to Muslims than shahada, which is witness testimony in jara'im, which is like where 2 to 1 applies. Or not jara'im, sorry, in these cases of like writing down wills or whatever it may be. Riwayah is actually writing down hadith. You know, writing down hadith. Okay, the question is, does the 2 to 1 rule apply? Because it was no question, so I'm just sort of dealing with it because it's a continuation. In shahada, in all cases, in witness testimony, the answer is no. There are some cases where shahada can be 1 for a man and 1 for a woman. Yes, and this is the scholars of Islam have spoken about that, and Ibn Taymiyyah has mentioned it. If we look at the cases of the riwayah, which is much higher level than shahada because it's relating to our deen, our religion. Where our religion comes from is from riwayat, from narrations. The man's testimony is equivalent to the woman's testimony. And subhanAllah, Al-Dhahabi, who wrote a book called Sir Alam al-Nubala, which is one of the major works written about the biographies of all of the people who have ever narrated hadith. He says that the women, there's only 4 that there's only 4 that were talked about. Like in other words, that women have a much better record than men when it comes to narrating of hadith. So, and in fact, Al-Dhahabi also mentions that of all the hadith that we have, which is numbering in the hundreds of thousands, or tens of thousands, if you're talking about Sahih hadith, maybe about 10, 15,000. If all of the hadith, according to Nawawi, all the hadith that exist, maybe hundreds of thousands, but the same ones, but repeated in different chains. If we look at that corpus, Al-Dhahabi says that 1/4 of those ahadith come exclusively from women. You know what this exclusively means? Had a woman not narrated this hadith, we would not have the deen, we would not have the religion. Obviously one of the major ones is Aisha radiallahu anha. And by the way, this is a point of difference between Muslim Sunnis and Shiites, but we're not going to get into that. But that's one of the major narrators. The other, there's other ones, Umm Salama and others and others and others. And they're not just at the level of the Sahabiyat, they're at the level of every level. There's women that are narrating. There's women that you have to have a woman there for the narration to work. And the rest of the 3/4 of the hadith are a mix between men and women. So we said a core of the hadith is just women, and the rest of them are mixed between men and women. Yani, the point is, Islam hasn't, if Islam, you have to think about it this way, if it was the case, as the Orientalists want to seem, make it seem, that the 2 to 1 rule applies in all cases, then how comes in the most severe cases, where the deen, the religion of Islam is being transmitted, we accept 1 for 1? How comes? That in everyone, there's no difference of opinion in the whole of Islam, in that. How comes? So it must not to do with the woman, it's to do with the situation itself. It's to do with the situation itself, and Islam, this is something I can promote and say to this audience with great confidence, and I can challenge anybody on this. There are more muhaddithat, there's more scholars of Islam relating to hadith that are women than there have ever been philosophers in the Enlightenment and Renaissance, women combined. And I get a woman, get a to defeat my statement. The Islamic history is completely filled with women's names, and if we don't have those women's names, we would not have the deen of Islam as it is intact. So I mean, this is a red herring, it's a false thing. It's only in certain circumstances where the 2 to 1 rule applies, and those circumstances, it is implied that the man might have a better, let's be frank, maybe you could say, have a better spatial awareness. Is this something which is controversial? If it was controversial, Maguire, who was a psychologist in 2008 or something like this, wouldn't have revealed that women have less grey matter in the hippocampus level than men. And she actually done MRI scans on men and women. She put them through a whole test of the knowledge, and this and that came out. And she came to the extent that the hippocampus, which is a part of the brain of men, is much bigger than that of women. It's much bigger. It's got a higher grey matter. It's more developed, and it develops quicker. So what? Men are better than women at certain things. Women are better than men at certain things. Why is that shameful to say? Spatial awareness is one thing that men are better than women at. I can say that with evidence, and the evidence is quite strong, coming from women. Maguire is a woman, by the way. Maguire is a woman, psychologist. She says this: I believe that men are better than women in spatial awareness. That's my belief. Based on the evidences, they can. That's why the whole thing of seeing and knowing awareness. Women are better than men at many different other things. But this is a fallacy. This is a false notion of equality in all cases, which doesn't exist in the real world. And it's an unsophisticated way of dealing with the complexities and the nuances of the world environment.